Right now, a tiny number is hidden inside your investments. It looks harmless, just 1%. But over a lifetime, that number could quietly drain hundreds of thousands of dollars from your future, and you would never feel a thing. Most people worry about the wrong things. They panic when the market drops. They chase the next hot stock. They refresh the news, hunting for the big move. But while everyone watches the loud stuff, one silent number works against them in the background, and it can do more damage than any crash. Here's how it works. The most expensive number. Nobody notices is open almost any investment account, and you'll find a number most people glance past without a second thought. It's the fee, the cost of having someone manage your money, and it's usually shown as a small percentage, 1%, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, 1%. Say it out loud and it sounds like nothing. It's the tip you'd round up on a coffee. It's a rounding error. Your brain hears 1% and files it under too small to matter. That's exactly what the financial industry is counting on. Here's the trick. Companies almost never show you the fee in dollars. They show it as a percentage because a percentage feels light and a dollar amount feels heavy. 1% a year sounds gentle. I'm going to take $12,000 from you over the next decade sounds like a robbery. Same fee, completely different feeling. So your attention drifts to the only number that feels exciting, the return. Did my money go up? By how much? You celebrate a good year and stress over a bad one, while the fee sits quietly in the corner, taking its cut no matter what the market does. Up year, down year, it doesn't care. It always gets paid. And the worst part is how invisible it is. It's pulled out automatically, behind the scenes, in tiny pieces. Nobody ever mails you a bill. No alert pops up on your phone, so you forget it's even there. But the real damage isn't what happens this year. It's what that tiny number does when you give it enough time. The silent leak. To understand why a 1% fee is so dangerous, you first have to understand how investing actually builds wealth. And the honest truth is that it's slow, painfully slow. You don't get rich in a weekend. You get rich through something called compounding. Compounding just means your money earns money. And then that new money starts earning money too. Your gains begin making their own gains. Give it enough years, and a small, steady habit of saving can quietly snowball into a fortune. But here's the part nobody warns you about. Compounding works in both directions. The same force that can build your wealth can also work against you. And a fee is what flips it. Picture your own account. Every single year, before your money even gets the chance to grow, a slice is quietly removed. It seems like a tiny slice, but that slice was never just this year's money. That slice would have grown, and the growth on that slice would have grown too. You didn't lose 1%. You lost everything that 1% could have become over the next 20 or 30 years. Think of it like a small leak in a giant tank of water. One drop at a time. You'd barely notice it. You might not even believe it matters. But come back in 30 years and you'd find the tank shockingly low, not because of one dramatic moment, but because of a slow, steady drip that never, ever stopped. That's the danger no one feels in the moment. It hides inside time itself. The longer you wait, the wider the gap grows, and you can't see it happening day to day. That's the silent leak. And to show you just how big it gets, let's run an experiment with two people who did almost everything the same. The two-investor experiment: meet two co-workers. We'll call them Daniel and Olivia. They're the same age, they have the same job, and the same paycheck. And they both decide to get serious about their future on the exact same day. Each one invests $500 a month, every month, for 30 years. They never miss. They never panic sell. And to keep this fair, let's say the market treats them exactly the same, growing about 7% a year for both of them. There is only one difference between Daniel and Olivia: the fee. Daniel does a little research and picks a low-cost index fund. An index fund is simple. Instead of paying experts to pick stocks, it just buys a tiny piece of the whole market and holds on. Because there's almost no one to pay, the fee is tiny, about 0.05%. Basically nothing. Olivia goes with a managed fund instead, the kind run by professionals who promise to handle everything for her. For that service, she pays 1% a year. It sounds completely reasonable. It's what most people pay without blinking. Same salary, same savings, same market. 30 years later, they each open their accounts. Daniel has about $604,000. Olivia has about $502,000, a gap of more than $100,000. From a fee she barely noticed. And here's the gut punch. Each of them only ever put in $180,000 of their own money. So that fee didn't just cost Olivia a little. It quietly took an amount bigger than half of every dollar she ever deposited. She did everything right. She saved. She stayed patient. She invested for decades, and one number she ignored erased over $100,000 of her future. Now ask yourself one uncomfortable question. Between those two investors, which one are you right now? Why the industry loves complexity. If low fees win so clearly, you'd think every company would race to offer them. So why doesn't that happen? Why is the financial world so full of complicated products with confusing names and higher costs? The answer is uncomfortable, and it's mostly about psychology. Humans have a strange habit. We assume that expensive means better. We think the pricier wine must taste richer. The higher-priced doctor must be smarter. The costly tool must be higher quality. Most of the time, we don't even question it. And the money world knows this about you. A simple index fund is, well, boring. There's nothing to brag about. Nobody's getting paid much to sell it. But a complicated fund, with a confident manager, a glossy brochure, and a long list of strategies, that feels powerful. It feels like you're getting something special. And something special should cost more, right? That's the illusion. Complexity creates the feeling of value, even when it quietly delivers less. The harder something is to understand, the more we tend to trust the person explaining it, and the more we're willing to pay them. And here's the business reality. The more money these firms manage, and the higher the percentage they charge, the more they earn, whether your investments do well or not. Their income is built right into your account. There's an awkward fact buried under all the marketing too. Study after study has found that over long stretches of time, the large majority of these expensive, expert-run funds fail to beat a simple index fund once you subtract their fees. You're often paying a premium price for a product that quietly delivers less, so the loud, expensive options get the budget and the billboards. The quiet, cheap one that actually works gets left in the shadows, which raises a fascinating question. If simple really is better, has anyone the whole world actually listens to ever said so out loud? The Warren Buffett warning. As it turns out, yes, and it's hard to find a louder voice than this one. Warren Buffett is widely considered one of the greatest investors who ever lived. He built one of the largest fortunes on the planet by studying businesses for decades. This is a man who could hire any money manager in the world. He could afford the fanciest, most complicated strategy that exists. So pay attention to what he chose for the people he loves most. Buffett has openly explained the instructions he left for the money his own family will inherit. Not a complex plan, not a team of high-priced experts. His advice was simple. Put almost all of it, around 90%, into a low-cost index fund that tracks the whole US market, and keep a small slice in safe, short-term government bonds. That's it. Forget for a moment who said it, and just look at the logic. The man with access to every expensive option on earth, planning for his own family's future, deliberately picked the cheapest, simplest path. Not because he couldn't afford more, because more, in his view, would actually leave them with less. He even put it to the test once. He bet a group of professional investors that a plain index fund would beat their expensive, hand-picked funds over 10 years. A simple fund against the so-called experts. By the end, it wasn't even close. The boring, low-cost option won by a landslide. The lesson isn't to copy any one person or to treat anyone as a hero. It's to notice that the math keeps pointing in the same direction, no matter who runs the numbers. Cost is the one thing you can control, and it quietly decides who keeps the gains. But knowing all this is only half the battle. Because there's a hidden cost most people never see coming. The cost of waiting too long to act. The hidden cost of waiting. Here's the part that stings. Time is the one thing that makes compounding powerful, and it's the one thing you can never get back. Every year you stay in a high-fee product, you're not just losing this year's slice. You're losing the longest, most valuable runway that slice will ever have. The dollars you invest in your 20s and 30s are your most powerful dollars because they have the most time to grow. So the fees you pay early are quietly the most expensive fees of your entire life. Let that sink in. A fee you pay today doesn't just cost you today. It steals decades of future growth that money would have created. Waiting 1 year to fix it isn't a small delay. It's another year of your best compounding handed away for good. And this is the uncomfortable truth that hangs over this whole story. While you've been watching this, the clock has been running. If you're holding investments right now and you've never once checked the fee, there's a real chance money is leaking out of your account at this very moment, slowly, silently, automatically. You can't undo the fees you've already paid. That money is gone. But every single year ahead of you is still up for grabs. The sooner you reduce what you're paying, the more of your future you get to keep. Fixing this at 30 is powerful. Fixing it at 50 still matters. Fixing it today beats fixing it tomorrow, every single time. So if a small fee can do this much damage so quietly, where does all that money actually go? Because it doesn't just vanish into thin air. It goes somewhere very specific, and almost nobody talks about it. The wealth transfer. Nobody talks about. Here's the truth that ties this entire story together. That money you lose to fees doesn't disappear. It isn't burned. It isn't wasted by accident. It simply moves. Quietly, year after year, it flows out of your account and into the accounts of financial institutions. Your future wealth slowly becomes their guaranteed income. This is a wealth transfer hiding in plain sight. And the reason it works so well is that it never looks dangerous. There's no dramatic moment, no crash, no headline, no single day where you can point and say, "That's when I lost $100,000. Instead, it happens in tiny, painless pieces, so small in any given month that your brain refuses to treat them as a threat. That's the genius of it. A robbery would make you furious. A slow, quiet drip just makes you shrug. But over a lifetime, that quiet drip can move more of your money than almost anything else you'll ever worry about. So think about every financial product you own right now. Your retirement account, that fund someone once recommended, the plan you signed up for years ago and never looked at again. Behind each one is a number, and that number is silently deciding how much of your wealth stays yours and how much quietly belongs to someone else. Most people will go their whole lives without ever asking what that number is. They'll blame crashes and bad luck for the wealth they never built, while the real culprit sat in plain sight the entire time. You don't have to be one of them, because the fix starts with a single, almost effortless decision. One decision that could change everything. That decision is simply to look. Find out exactly what you're paying, open your accounts, and hunt for that little percentage. The yearly fee, sometimes called the expense ratio. It's the number that tells you what slice gets taken from your money every year. Then ask yourself one honest question. What am I actually getting in return for this? Sometimes the answer is fair. Often you'll discover you're paying a premium price for something a simple, low-cost option could do just as well or better. You don't need to become a financial genius. You don't need to predict the market or pick perfect stocks. You just need to stop quietly handing away a percentage of your future for no good reason. In a world obsessed with chasing bigger returns, the easiest win is often just keeping more of what's already yours. Because here's the idea, worth carrying with you, long after this video ends. Wealth is rarely lost in one loud, dramatic disaster. It's lost quietly, one small percentage at a time, long before it ever gets the chance to be built. So here's your challenge for today. Don't let this be one more video you nod along to and forget. Right now, go look up the fee on your biggest investment. Just find the number. Then tell me in the comments what you discovered. Was it tiny, or did it make your stomach drop? Some of those numbers are going to shock you. If this changed the way you see your money, subscribe and stick around. We pull back the curtain on the quiet forces shaping your financial life, the things nobody ever bothered to explain. Because remember this, the most dangerous threats to your wealth are rarely the ones making headlines. They're the ones quietly taking a percentage every year.